Hello, I'm the OBG, and today I want to talk about Netiquette and why Netiquette is important. But first, a little history. So I first made a connection from home to the internet way back in 1994, and I discovered the internet in its early incarnation whilst at university and became fascinated. And I couldn't find anybody in my computer science groups or beyond that had my enthusiasm at the time. And after befriending one of the uni tech support engineers, he provided me with the final knowledge about connecting from home. And the next step was to connect to universities in the US and to plough through any documentation that I could find. And I even wrote an email to Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of the hypertext HTTP protocol, who actually responded. Now, the elation that came to me when I finally connected my modem at home to university in the US cannot be expressed easily in words, even though I had many years of connecting to bulletin boards via the phones using a modem prior to that. And within a short time, in these online connection forums and so on, there was some negativity creeping in, usually in the same, well, I'd say the same usual form of males, pranking each other or seeking dominance in some form or the other. And it seems that those are the only two functions that men, love to thrive on. They're very distinct. And eventually I saw that people were being directed to websites that talked about Netiquette. And I was intrigued by this and I pursued it, and it actually laid down some basic guidelines for people coming on board to the net at the time, and it included advice such as keep flirting to a minimum, do not use long signatures, do not ask Usenet users how the internet works, do not hold flame wars, and one of the most important rules, remember the human. Now we must remember that the internet is simply a medium for communication. We shouldn't perceive the internet as places where we can go and do as we please just because, oh, it's the internet or it's only Facebook. Imagine standing face to face with the person that you're communicating with. If you enter a conversation on somebody's wall, for instance, on Facebook, imagine you just walked into a pub or somebody's living room and that they're sat there with guests discussing something. Then consider what you would like to add, because some of the behaviour I experience and witness is pretty shameful. Now, it's also good advice to read previous comments in a thread and to gauge a conversation before committing. It seems apparent that some people just read the original post then fire away with motions flared. So do consider that people have their friends and families as part of their Facebook friends also, and it may not be appropriate for you to start cursing and saying things that you wouldn't say in front of their parents or in their living room or at the office in front of colleagues. So let's talk about Netiquette and Netiquette history. So Netiquette is a portmanteau of internet and etiquette, and just like etiquette, it's a code of polite behaviour that you would find in any society. In short, a code of good behaviour. And this includes several aspects of the internet such as email, social media, online chat, web forums, website comments, multiplayer gaming and all other types of online communication. And the word first posted in a Usenet forum in 1982, the same year that the word internet was actually coined. Now Netiquette was created as a joke, but it was then used to describe communication and for listserv networks, and began delivering the rules for delivering information to the rules. And I put a link to the original RFC 1855, which is a request for comments, in the description for those who want to take a look at some internet history. By the way, an RFC, a request for comments, is a pure technical document published by the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, and it's called a request for comments, and they're mainly used to develop a standard network protocol, a function of a network protocol, or any other feature which is related to network communication. So, on to the history again. So, Netiquette is a set of social conventions that facilitate interaction over networks, and these rules were described, as I said, in the IETF RFC 1855, the Internet Engineering Task Force request for comments. However, like many internet phenomena, the concept and its application remain in a state of flux and vary from community to community. Now, the points most strongly emphasised about Usenet Netiquette often include using simple electronic signatures, avoiding multiple posting, cross-posting, off-topic posting, hijacking a discussion thread, and other techniques used to minimise the effort required to read or post to a thread. Even IBM posted guidelines for its employees utilising a popular game at the time called Second Life in an official capacity, with their focus on basic professionalism, amiable work conduct and protecting intellectual property. And similarly, some Usenet guidelines called for the use of unabbreviated English, while at the same time users of instant messaging protocols like SMS occasionally encourage just the opposite, as typical use of SMS language. However, many other online communities frown upon this practice. So it depends on horses for courses as such. So as you can see, Netiquette was around before the start of the World Wide Web. Text-based email, Telnet, Usenet, Gopher, Waze, FTP, and other old school stuff. Oh, memories. For educational and research bodies, they actually dominated the internet at the time. And it was considered somewhat indecent to make commercial public postings, and the limitations of insecure text-only communications demanded that the community have a common set of rules. Now, common rules at the time were such things as avoiding flame wars, and spam was also frowned upon. And this was constant across most medium and communities. And another rule was to avoid typing in all caps or grossly enlarging script for emphasis, which is considered to be the equivalent of shouting or yelling. Now, I'm old school, and when I suggest people do not type in caps, usually my older friends, it takes some explaining to get them to see why. And other commonly shared points, such as remembering that one's posts anything they put on the internet can easily be made public. And that is understood by publishers of web pages, posters to use at the time. And this rule, although flexible, is very important, because on more private protocols, such as email and SMS, some users take the privacy of their posts for granted. One-on-one communication, such as private messages on chat forums and direct SMSs or PMs on Facebook now, should be considered private. And there have been some infamous breaches over the past, but in general, it's really not okay to publish the contents of private conversations such as PM into public posts on Facebook. What happens in PM stays in PM. And those things, they just require certain courtesies. For instance, email syntax, which is defined in the RFC 2822, allows for different types of recipients, and I'll explain that briefly. For instance, a primary recipient of an email defined by the to line can reasonably be expected to respond, but recipients of carbon copies or CCs, they can't be, although they still might. And likewise, the misuse of the CC, the carbon copy, such as using it in place of traditional mailing lists. In cases like this, rules of Netiquette have to do with efficient sharing of resources and the associated technology, and how they continue to function for most basic and common use. And rules such as when someone makes a mistake, whether it's a spelling mistake, an error, or ask what we consider a stupid question, or deliver an unnecessarily long answer, we should be kind about those too. If it's a minor error, maybe you don't even have to say anything, even if you feel strongly about it, and we should think twice before reaching. Now, having good manners yourself doesn't give you license to correct everyone else. If you do decide to inform someone of a mistake, point it out politely, or better still, email them privately or send them a PM rather than doing it in public. And always give people the benefit of the doubt. Assume that they just don't know better, and never be arrogant or self-righteous about it. Just as if it's a law of nature that spelling or starting flame wars always contain some kind of spelling errors, and pointing them out seems quite trivial. Now, due to the large variation between what is considered acceptable behaviour in various professional environments and between professional and social networks, codified internal manuals of style within companies also can often help clarify acceptable limits and boundaries for user behaviour. Now, this sounds like real serious business with an overreach to some people, and they may not see the full benefits of having codified these rules over just using the internet. However, they serve a good purpose, as most guidelines do, and we as individuals have our own defined moral and ethical codes and differing sensibilities. Netiquette as a guide should serve everybody well. And on that note, how are we going to evolve to the next stage of our online evolution if we can't even use one of the greatest means of communications handed to us by engineers, technologists, artists, hackers, dreamers, and hobbyists whose dream was to bring the world together? Netiquette, it's important. Use it. I am the OBG. That didn't work.